CM 365, all about Carnatic music. As far as music is concerned, is there any realistic goal that one can achieve? Or is there any means to actually measure the success quotient of an artist? Well, to both these questions, I would say my answer is no, in the sense that in music, it's a very, very unique medium that one pursues, where actually there can be no particular goal as such that one wants to or one can achieve. Now, let us take a very simple example of a running race, where we see that when you are part of a running race, suppose 10 people are running a race, all the participants are given the same distance to travel, and they are given similar path, that they have to travel to cover that particular distance. Suppose it may be a 5-kilometer race or 10 kilometers. So the idea is that you have to cover that particular distance, and once you cover that distance, your goal is accomplished. And here obviously the one who reaches the goal first becomes the winner. But the point here is that somebody sets the target for you, and your actually role is in terms of accomplishing that goal or that target. And once you achieve that goal, you are declared as the winner, or whatever it is. If you come first within a particular, as the shortest time you are able to cover it, you become the winner. But in music, it's a totally different kind of a concept, where we see that the target is not set by anyone for us, but rather I would say that each individual or each musician sets his own target for himself. Each musician again takes a different path. We do not have similar path for everyone to travel. And also, very interestingly, the journey that each one of us undertake as musicians is also very, very different, and we cannot compare one with the other. As a musician, we choose our own path, and we decide also the distance that we want to travel. Nobody decides the distance. In terms of what we want to accomplish is all decided by the musician himself. And we also ascertain our own goal. Here it's very important to understand that there is nobody in the external world to set the goal for you, as well as there is no common goal also that all can really accomplish. So the success or the winning factor cannot be decided by others. And you may actually, what happens in this context, you can also, some musicians, I've heard them, say that of a particular big stalwart, probably he's a very knowledgeable person with high vidvat, a great repertoire and other things, but not received any kind of recognition. Then you say that this particular person was so talented. Sadly, it is very sad that he was not recognized properly during his lifetime. So when you mention in quotes recognition, what you are meaning is that he was not decorated with appropriate titles or awards during his lifetime, and so you think that he was actually not very successful in the sense that he was not given his proper recognition at that time. But probably to that particular musician, all this kind of awards and titles that you're talking of may be a meaningless proposition, I would say. And to him, his success is all about upholding his classical values right through his life without any kind of compromises. So probably for him, success in life was all about retaining or trying to perpetuate also it to the next generation, the classical values that he had actually acquired from his guru or whatever. In this context, I would like to make a mention of my own guru, Sri.P.S.Narayanaswamy, who was a recipient of so many awards and titles, including the Padma Bhushan. People who have gone to his house would recall that all these awards and titles were very casually hung in his house, and they were not given any kind of undue prominence or anything. And for him also, these awards and titles were actually resting very lightly on his shoulder, and he never made anything big of it. So he was so simple and down to earth that all these awards actually did not carry any kind of pride for him that he was the winner of the coveted titles from various organizations, other things. For him, all through his life, I could see that his only goal in terms of success was about upholding the great values of music, and also his success was in transmitting this knowledge that he had, the profound knowledge that he had, to umpteen number of disciples. The kind of disciples that he had is everybody knows in the field that he had a huge line of disciples, and he would share his knowledge in bountiful without any inhibitions. So probably for him the success was more about actually uh, preserving the classical values rather than all these kinds of titles and awards that were bestowed on him. Then we also see that sometimes the success, we as Rasikas, when you go to a hall for a kacheri and you see that the hall is overflowing with audience, immediately, your mind says about the artist that, oh, this is here is a successful performer, here is a star performer, and he has really been successful. But there have also been some rare musicians who never cared for the audience at all. And for them, even a handful of discerning audience is all they wanted in terms of listeners' quotient. For them, it was not about a hall filled audience, but a learned audience, even a handful, was sufficient for them in terms of deciding the factor of their own success in their field. Coming to the disciples, we see that some of the gurus have got a good line of disciples, but there have also been gurus who have felt that having a large quantity of disciples was not the deciding factor, but the success was about training one disciple, worthy disciple at least, to carry forward this great tradition. So thus we see that the quotient of success is something very, very illusionary, I would say. And as for the path that every musician travels, it is very, very abstract, I would say, and we cannot define it whatever. We all start our journey in terms of learning music, then slowly we start performing small concerts, then we go up to bigger concerts. Like this, we try to develop. But we actually have no clue where this path will take us to in terms of the destination. We really don't know what will be the destination that one has to reach in the journey of music, I would say. In fact, if you look deeper, actually there is no destination in music to reach. Even a musician in his 90s, if you go and talk to him, there have been many musicians who have been very, very active as performers also in their 90s. Even today we see there are some musicians like that. So if you go and ask them what music is all about and whether they have achieved the success they had dreamt for themselves, they will definitely answer you and tell you that they are still traveling and they have a long way to go. So thus we see that music is indeed a very, very unique medium where there are actually no specific goals to set. There is actually nothing called a success quotient in terms of that target to be achieved. Yet we see that all of us undertake this beautiful journey. We keep traveling and we enjoy that travel also. So where you are going on a journey, you are traveling through a particular path, and you also don't know what the path has to offer to you. As you go only, you will be able to discover and learn what the path has to offer you. And we also know there is actually no goal to achieve, but yet we see that being in music as an artist is one of the most enriching experience.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.